Hi guys, welcome back to Cody Tarot. I'm your tarot reader, Cody. So today's reading is going to be why people find you attractive. What qualities do you have in yourself that attracts people to you? What types of people are attracted to you? We're going to be going into these different things. So we have 5 piles in front of us today, or 5 crystals. The first crystal is Ametrine. The second crystal is green Jade. The third crystal is rose quartz. The fourth crystal is blue Kyanite. And the last crystal is a clear quartz point. So take all the time you need to pick your crystal. You can pause here if you need to. Oh yeah, and thank you for all the new subscribers. I keep forgetting to mention this. Thank you and welcome to the channel. It's great to have you aboard on this tarot ship with us. So yeah, I guess we'll move into the reading now with pile 1, the Ametrine. Okay, group 1, this is if you picked the Ametrine. So let's get into your reading. So you're a very interesting person. I'll say that to start with, in a good way. Yeah, I guess very unique. I mean, I don't know if I know a person like this in my life, but I'm just going to read what I see. So first of all, set healthy boundaries. You're the type of person who definitely has a set of barriers that people know that they can or cannot cross. You know, you definitely set those rules when you start a relationship with anyone or people. They definitely sense like an armor around you, kind of like this protective sphere that kind of keeps certain people in and other people out. People really, really like that quality about you. It makes you appear, I want to say strong. Strong might be the right word. But then it gets kind of interesting with these cards over here, because we see over here that even though you are very strong, right, and you do have those healthy boundaries, we also have the beggar card here. And the way I see this is giving attention, right? I definitely see, you know, like when someone's begging for food or begging for money or begging, they're kind of like asking for the other person to help them out, right? So you're definitely the type of person that can kind of like basically make people feel valued or make people feel worthy or worth it. You know, sometimes it's almost like, even though you have these boundaries around yourself, you can put yourself in a subordinate position to others around yourself and in a way make them feel valued and admired, because you're kind of like increasing their self-esteem is the best way to put it. And we definitely see here, we have some other attributes about you as well that people find you, that they find attractive about you. And I'll get to the tarot cards in here. The way I wanted to read these tarot cards is kind of combine their energy to get a trait for you. For another thing, people find you attractive. So we have the Page of Wands and the Queen of Swords. And the way I'm seeing this is, the way I view the Page of Wands personally is, I always see him looking at this wand, and it's almost as if he's assessing it. Like I kind of imagine him, he just bought this wand from a marketplace and he's kind of like assessing this wand and seeing the quality of it. So people definitely like the fact that, oh, and also the Queen of Swords, I see her as, well, in the original Queen of Swords, the wind is blowing in this direction of the card and her hands outstretched in the direction of the wind, kind of like saying, this is the way the communication's going, this is the way the thoughts are going, this is the way the world is going. I see the Queen of Swords as someone who is very in touch with the way the world is moving forward, or the way arguments are moving forward, or the way communication's moving forward. It's someone who's in flow, I guess is the best way to put it, with their thoughts and their opinions and ideas, and not only with themselves, but with, you know, with others as well. So you're definitely the type of person who is very like good with trends, very good with, sorry, I bumped the camera, very good with, finding out where things go in the world, kind of like where things are headed, right? And at the same time, being in flow with society is one thing, but you also have the ability to assess society as another thing. You can make critical observations that are not only relevant and meaningful, but at the same time, don't disrupt the fabric of that society itself, if that makes sense. So you definitely have a way of critiquing the group dynamic of things going on around you and assessing them in a way that kind of is more of a practical approach of assessing things, but at the same time, you're very in tune intuitively with the patterns of the universe and the way things are headed and the direction things are going, right? You definitely flow with the current. And people like that about you. You know, they like that you kind of like go with the flow for the most part, but at the same time you can assess and kind of like explain or dictate or criticize that same flow that you're going in and kind of like explain it to people and assess it to people, you know? So yeah, we're definitely seeing here that like, especially with this card pointing to the beggar card, people really like the fact that you make them feel worthy in society. So the fact that you kind of look up to them and you kind of put people on this pedestal, it makes them feel worthy. And because you're so in flow and in tune with things, people definitely take this as a great sign of respect or admiration, or the fact that, you know, that they actually have an important place in the world. So you really do make people feel important. And because you kind of bolster the self-esteem of others, that is what makes you really attractive, because people feel that energy coming from you and they really value that. Let's see the last card right here. This is for a little love messages. Speak the language of love. Loving words have the power to change lives, including your own. And this is kind of going hand in hand with what we're talking about over here, right? Is that you kind of like, in a way, it's not just that you bolster people's self-esteem, right? It's that you do it with love, and you do it with loving and kind words. You know, so people definitely see you as a very like empathetic person. They definitely see you as a very kind person. And it's even more interesting to them that they see that you have these boundaries, right? Because sometimes kind and empathetic people get taken advantage of. You know, sometimes some people are too empathetic in the sense that, you know, people kind of can walk all over them, but not you. You have a great way of setting these boundaries and also being kind and putting people on pedestals when making them feel valued and important. And also your natural ability to kind of like assess where things are going. I guess that's the best way to put it. You're assessing where things are going. So yeah, that's why people find you attractive for definitely. So if you like that reading, you can like or comment below. If you really like the reading, you can subscribe to my channel. I post pick-a cards like this pretty frequently. With that said, we're going to move on to the next group number 2. Hey guys, this is if you picked the green Jade for group number 2. So let's get into your reading. The first thing I'm kind of seeing here, there's actually a lot of things that I'm seeing here. And kind of like these, actually all 4 of these kind of go, the whole thing kind of goes hand in hand. There's kind of one main message of your personality, but it's kind of popping up in different parts. So this is one of those things where like you have a main defining feature that makes you attractive. There's not like a lot of different facets that kind of come together that people kind of like maybe view one little thing and then another little thing. It's like definitely one kind of main defining feature that makes you attractive. So Electric Eel Spirit says, bring your ideas to life, right? So we're already getting like like an aspect of an idea. And right here with Pioneer, we have a light bulb, right? And there's a heart inside the light bulb. And it says passion for doing and creating what has not been done before. And then we also have right here, practice compassion, see things from a fresh perspective. So a lot of things are tying in together. Practice compassion is tying in with the heart inside the light bulb. Bringing your ideas to life, the ideas tying in with the light bulb. So if you want kind of like a good image of what you're like as a person or why people find you attractive, it's the fact that you're innovative and you are able to take an idea or something that you have thought about and make it a reality, right? That is something, and you do it in a compassionate way. That is something that people really like value about you and they find very attractive about you. It's kind of almost like sexy, I guess is the best way to put it, in the way that you kind of can like make things happen that are kind of like just kind of like ideas. We see this over here with the 8 of Swords, where kind of where these ideas come from. You know, we have a full moon up in the top of this card. And also we have this woman surrounding by these swords. One interpretation that I like to think of this card as is someone who kind of is like psychically in tune, enclosed in their own space, but like psychically in tune with their environment from like far off distances. So what we see here with like the city in the background right here, I don't know if you can see it, there's like a city in the background behind those swords. It's someone who's listening to the things around them and definitely picking up on those things and kind of like, it's like what people think, people see this part of you. They see you kind of go and isolate yourself away from people, right? And they kind of see that's where the ideas come from. Because when you come out of this isolation phase, you have like this brilliant idea and you want to share it and you want to communicate it to others. And you're doing it in such a compassionate way that it's definitely coming from like a heart-centered place. What they don't realize is that when you go within, you're picking up subtle signals from your environment. Even though you could be isolated, on a mountaintop, like hundreds of miles away from society, what they don't realize is that, this is kind of something that's also in the spiritual community. So if you know about this, it's kind of like the idea that we're all separate, but we're not. So the idea is that we're not technically all separate from each other, but sometimes going and separating yourself away from people actually makes you more connected to the oneness of everything else. So basically what people see is that you kind of isolate yourself to get these ideas, but really you're tapping into the collective unconscious. You're just doing it through, isolating. It's kind of like isolating your senses. So what we see here is that you go into kind of like a darker place, like you blindfold yourself, you bind your movements. So you basically, this is talking about becoming really still, stilling the body, stilling the vision. So making the vision dark and the body still. And this is also going to help you if you maybe people don't find you attractive, or you're finding that people, like less people find you attractive than you want to find you attractive. This is really going to help you, because this is how you're going to bring those compassionate, heart-centered ideas out. And that's kind of like the beacon. If you think of this as like a moth to the flame, like people are just going to be drawn to you as soon as this happens. For the most part, for most of you, it already is happening. This is already your method. This is already how you do things. I definitely see here with the electric eel and the Four of Swords reverse that you're kind of the type of person that doesn't like to take too much rest, right? You'll go within to get those ideas, but as soon as you got that idea, you're coming back out into society. You're kind of making it happen. You're showing people the way. You're bringing that idea to life. And it's kind of this electric energy that permeates your activities, and that what people really, really like about you, it's kind of this kind of like attractive way of sharing thoughts and intellect. It's kind of you're the type of person that you're really going to attract. The people that are attracted to you specifically are the types of people who find like, how do I put this? That find beauty in the mind. I think there was like something about this a couple years ago online where it's like you're attracted to someone's intellect. You're not necessarily attracted to like their physical form. You're attracted to like their intellect and their mind. So you're kind of the type of person that kind of set that standard, right? You're the type of person that kind of like, if you were the first person in the world that kind of like came up and started having ideas, right? That's where people realize, they're like, you're the type of person that makes people realize they're attracted to people with ideas. They're attracted to people with intellects. You're kind of, you're the brains that really is like translates directly to beauty. So really this pile, like you could be physically beautiful, or maybe you find that you're not physically beautiful, but the thing is you use your mind to attract people, and people are attracted to your mind. So it really doesn't matter your physical appearance, because people are so attracted to your intellect and to your ideas and the things you spread. And because it comes from a heart-centered place, it's a beautiful combination of kind of using those ideas and kind of like using it in a loving way to kind of attract people. So it's kind of like attraction through intellect. I guess that's the best way to put it. Also practice compassion. It says, see things from a fresh perspective. This is definitely something else that you kind of help people do, is you kind of help them see things from a different angle, right? Because you're kind of going within and you're kind of going inside yourself and slowing yourself down to just get these ideas, and you're kind of, even though you're kind of isolated from society at this point in time, you're still aware of the things around you, right? If you notice, she doesn't have her ears covered. It's just a blindfold and her movements. So basically it's like closing your eyes and sitting still. And that's kind of where these ideas come to you, and even though you can hear the far off lands and the places around you, you can hear these things, it kind of stimulates that part of your mind that brings these ideas to life. Yeah, you're definitely kind of like a very attractive person. You know, you have a very, I want to say fast moving mind. Electricity moves kind of quickly and is shocking, and kind of, you do have that electric attraction. You know, people are kind of like maybe magnetically drawn to you, is the best way to put it. But yeah, that's what makes you attractive, group number 2, if you pick the Jade. So if you like the reading, you can like or comment below. If you really like the reading, you can subscribe to my channel. I post pick cards like this pretty frequently. With that said, we're going to get right into group number 3, the Rose Quartz. Okay, group number 3, if you pick the Rose Quartz, I'm actually very excited to get into this reading. I'm just looking at this stuff, like it's making me see like some really cool things. Like I'm kind of flattered that a person like you just came to my channel to like look at a reading, because you're a very cool person. I mean, just from reading this, I'm like, wow, like cool. Okay, so first of all, what we have here is Wolf Spirit, turn knowledge into wisdom. So this is kind of the main thing about you, or one of the main things about you. So similar to the last pile, they had very much of an intellectual charm towards people that kind of like attracted to the intellect. This is kind of similar to you, but it's not quite the same. It's not that people are attracted to your intellect and kind of like your mind as in and of itself, but it's that your intellect fuels your attraction. Now, I'll get to that in just a second, what that means. So what we have here with the King of Swords and the Queen of Cups, and turn knowledge into wisdom. If you think of the Queen of Cups, she's a very intuitive person. You know, she's like on the border of where the land meets the sea, right? So she's kind of like half in reality and half in her subconscious mind, you know, and she kind of has this ethereal quality to her, right? What we see here with the Queen of Cups reversed is that you kind of pull this kind of, what's the word? This kind of energy within you. So it's like going within and kind of becoming your center. Now, King of Swords is kind of your outer being, right? King of Swords is, I definitely see as a very much like, at least in this reading, a very much a fact collector. You know, someone who kind of, if you look at the clouds in the back of this card, they're fluffy, but they're stagnant. You know, the trees aren't blowing in the wind. The energy of the wind in the background of the King of Swords is very still and stagnant. So this is definitely like, you know, facts. Like he's barely tilting the sword to get information. So it's kind of like, you don't have to do much, but you're just kind of always collecting information. It seems like a very natural way for you to live your life, is to kind of absorb information on the regular, right? But what people don't understand, or here's what they don't know, but what's making them attracted to you, is that this turning knowledge into wisdom, this is the knowledge, and this is the wisdom. So what's happening is we get this kind of like cycle effect where the more knowledge you accumulate, the more you internalize it, and it becomes this kind of like intuition that is like growing over time. So the more you live your life and the more knowledge you accumulate, you build this strong center. And let me make sure the camera's still on. You build this strong center with the Queen of Cups energy. And the beautiful thing about this is that it kind of draws people into you, because you're internalizing that knowledge that you're finding. It's turning into wisdom inside you. You have this beautiful alchemic process within you that's turning this knowledge into a kind of beautiful, how do I put this? Turning this knowledge into a beautiful kind of like mystery, I guess is the best way to put it. The wolf is kind of a very mysterious creature in general. And this kind of mystery that gets kind of fueled inside you is this wisdom that really, with the Queen of Cups, shows that you don't share with too many people, right? But okay, I'll get to the mentor in a second. But with the Queen of Cups, it's kind of like you keep it within, right? If you look at her, she is focused on this cup, this ornate cup. This is the most ornate cup in all of the cup like cards, right? It's the most complex one. It's a very like intricate one, and it has these angels on the other side. It's kind of could be considered like the cathedral cup is the best way to put it. So you create this like spiritual center in yourself. Getting on to the mentor card. So here's another thing that people find. This says passing on wisdom and refining a student's character. So yes, you keep this wisdom inside yourself. So turning knowledge into wisdom, and it stays kind of within you. This intuitive center stays within you. But this King of Swords energy, this kind of more extroverted energy, where you're kind of accumulating knowledge and information, it also goes the other way, where you share knowledge, right? And the thing is, it's interesting because it can come out from the Queen of Cups energy. So And that's why people find you so attractive, is it's like you have all these secrets, you know, inside you, and they're like, they want to know more and more and more. But you're kind of revealing things little by little to kind of help people and guide them along the path, right? You are really truly a teacher in the like highest sense of the term, right? But you know not to give too much, you know, because it's interesting, this kind of mystery that you have and kind of keeping most of that information inside. What we see here is that that's the reason why people are listening to you, right? Is because of this power. And what we see here with the final card that ties it all in is spiritual connection. A relationship has a connection that goes beyond this lifetime. People feel, and one thing that makes you really attractive is people feel like they've known you in another life. You know, you're the type of person that people, when they meet you, have that connection to you where they're like, I definitely have like known you before, you know, because you're so in tune intuitively within yourself that you're kind of like, how do I put this? You kind of ooze that familiar vibe, I guess is the best way to put it. So people feel that spiritual connection with you like immediately. Like you're not only a teacher, but you're almost like a spiritual teacher. The knowledge you're possessing and passing forward could be very factual and maybe not even that significant to the like cold eye observer, but because it's coming from this place, it's coming from this place of wisdom, people view you as this kind of like intellectual kind of like distributor of like mysticism and intuition, you know, using just simple statements. And like I said, he barely has to tilt this sword to make an impact, right? You barely have to use an argument. You barely have to place a little fact here or a little intellectual thing there to kind of get people to learn something and feel spiritually connected to you in the process and feel a spiritual connection to life in general. That's really, this whole aspect, this whole personality that you have is what makes you really attractive, especially this. This is kind of the key solidifying point, is this internal Queen of Cups energy where, you know, it's kind of drawing all these people into you. I definitely see you as a very attractive person. You can be very proud of that, you know, and a very interesting person also. Very happy you're on my channel. Nice to meet you. Anyway, if you like the reading, you can like or comment below. If you really like the reading, you can subscribe to my channel. I post pick-a cards like this pretty frequently. With that said, we're going to move on to the next group, group 4. Hey guys, this is if you picked the Kyanite, so group 4, right? You have 4. Okay, so let's get into your reading. So immediately looking at this stuff, there's like a few things that jump out. So some of the piles had like one singular thing that made them, like all the cards tied in together, and it had the singular thing that makes them attractive, right? You kind of have multiple aspects of yourself that draw people to you. So you might find in life that you attract different types of people. You might find that like a person comes up to you that, you know, with the Queen card, what we see here is that you could attract someone who's maybe more superficial. You know, with the Owl card and the, 7 of Cups, you could attract someone who's looking for like honesty and realness, someone who's kind of the opposite of superficial. And with Knight of Wands, we see here that you could attract people who are drawn to passionate individuals. So you attract a number of different people basically in your life. What we see here, let's start over here with this attribute. So these cards are actually paired together. Normally I read these two together, but what we see here is that these two are paired together in this particular spread, or this particular pile with Kyanite. So Owl Spirit, you see clearly now, and then the 7 of Cups, right? So 7 of Cups is usually a card of kind of like a cloud in front of you. You know, you have a lot of options. You're not really sure which one to choose. And in the case of you see clearly now, it's almost like the fact that you're not seeing clear is what this card represents. But paired with the Owl Spirit, you see clearly now, it just shows that you are able to pick an option out of a group of options, and you see clearly what the right path is. This also can denote feelings of truth seeking. So you might be able to see what's true in a situation. You might have that penetrating insight to know if a person is lying or not, or to know if a fact is true or not. We also see here with you're just good at making decisions as well. You know, even though you have tons of options, or you could have like numerous options, and most people would get overwhelmed by that, you're always the one who's like, that's the correct option. So anyone who kind of gets overwhelmed by having too many options available to them and they don't know what to do with it, honestly, they love that type of person is going to be really attracted to you, because you know how to pick. You have a very strong sense of discernment. So you know how to pick something out of like a lineup and pick the best quality product or the best quality thing, when really there's like so many things to choose from, but you're kind of like, I know that's the correct answer, that's the correct choice. You have a very clear sight when it comes to these things, right? You might also have very beautiful eyes. Your eyes could make you attractive to other people. People might comment on how beautiful your eyes are. Now what we see here with these other aspects, right? So Knight of Wands is pretty just self-explanatory. It's kind of like, you know, you're that kind of like passionate, like kind of action-oriented person where people are kind of drawn to you because of your passion. So you exude a lot of passionate energy. And it's interesting because with the Wands card, we have like the desert, right? And the desert just reminds me, especially with the Knight of Wands, it's like kind of like water in the desert, right? Especially with these cups, right? You're kind of providing people that kind of fresh glass of water when they're like overheating, or they're like stuck in the desert too long, or, you know, it's almost like the opposite of this. So people who have too many options rely on you, and people who honestly have no options, who have nowhere to go, who they're kind of in a desolate landscape, they're also the types that really like you too, because in a way you can kind of find things not only when things are plentiful, but when things are minimal as well. And that's what makes you very valuable in society as well, but just what makes you attractive to people. And just, you have a very passionate nature. Like you're the type of person who kind of like lights up a room with their energy, with their inner flame, you know. You can kind of get the party started. You might have a very playful and fun personality. That's another reason why people find you attractive. We have here with the Queen card, this is kind of another separate aspect to these different aspects, but it says radiates the regal feminine, uses her benevolent authority to protect others. I'm seeing that you can be very protective, but I'm also seeing that you kind of have this kind of like, just the word that's coming out to me is regal. Maybe not necessarily feminine if you're a male, but I'm definitely seeing this kind of like royalty aspect to your persona. People definitely feel like you might be someone who's very popular. That might be another thing that, you know, people definitely feel like you're royalty. You're definitely someone who is on the kind of higher echelon of like social status, I guess is the best way to put it. And people kind of are attracted to you because of that. They're attracted to you because of your status. So I know that's very superficial. That's why I said you could draw some superficial people in here. Some superficial people might be attracted to you, but that's because you have a high position in society, or you've made yourself have a high position in society. So you might have there's some kind of defining feature here. There could be like, you have a lot of money, right? And you bestow, like, you are very wealthy, or you have a skill or a talent that makes you very noble or respected. There's going to be something here. You could come from a royal family, or you could have like people in high places. You know, you might have family in government, or you know, anything like that. You definitely have kind of like, there is some aspect of it being in a powerful position with this card, and people are kind of drawn to that, to you because of that. With all of these things in place, right? The last card is the only thing that is real is love. Shift your focus back to love. And what we see here is that through all of this, through helping people find the best option and being able to see clearly. I just realized this too. The owl has a crown, and we also got the Queen card. Interesting. The one thing is that, like, shift your focus back to love. It's just, no matter all these options and discernment that you have, you definitely really value love as kind of an ultimate end goal, or something that is really important to you, you know, and you get people to realize that. You kind of take all these people who are drawn to you, and for all these different ways, you know, you might have people drawn to you because of, you know, they want to kind of like explore your passionate side. They're drawn to kind of your, you know, lovely attributes. And then you also have this Queen energy, where you have these people drawn to you because of status. And you have these people who are drawn to you because of your discernment, right? But really, out of all these things, after people come to you, the one thing they leave with is that you tell them that, you know, all these things matter to me, or I'm a part of these things. That's what I'm trying to say. Not that they matter. They could matter, maybe not. It depends on your viewpoints on that. But you're a part of all these things, but you basically leave them with the viewpoint that love is kind of the ultimate answer. That all of these things are kind of these aspects that are not as important as true love. So I definitely see this type, you're the type of person that you attract people from all different walks of life. It might be difficult for you to find a soulmate, at least earlier in life. You might be single for a while. If you're, I don't know if this is going into other territory about your personality, but I'm definitely seeing, for the most part, that you leave people with the feeling of love. So you definitely change people. You know, you kind of, especially with, I'm seeing with some of these people with the superficial attitudes, you kind of get them to see that like love is more the answer than kind of like status or, you know, wealth or, you know, position, social position. And, you know, and these people who are focused on like a passionate, you know, like romantic, like robust connection, is that the right word? You just show them that love is kind of the answer to all these things, you know? So that's just a couple examples, but yeah, I really enjoyed reading for you. Yeah, and you also picked the Kyanite, which is a stone of charisma, right? And it's the throat chakra, which is communication. So yeah, if you like the reading, you can like or comment below. If you really like the reading, you can subscribe to my channel. I post pick a cards like this pretty frequently. With that said, we're going to move on to the last group number 5. Hey, group 5, this is if you picked the clear quartz. So let's get into your reading. So what makes you attractive? So let's see. First, we have Pig Spirit and Ace of Swords, and these two are combining together. We also have the 8 of Wands in reverse, Exorcist, and Treasure Your Loved Ones. So first, let's get into Pig Spirit and Ace of Swords. Pig Spirit says, use your mind wisely. I'll show you guys that card right there. And then Ace of Swords just shows that like you kind of are wielding your mind. It's basically showing that you also have like that clarity, but at the same time, it's talking about like how you utilize that mind, you know, and how wise you use it, if that makes sense. So you're definitely a person with an intellect on your hands, like on your shoulders. You're definitely kind of like a clear thinking person. But what we see here with Exorcist, right? Freeing yourself and others of destructive impulses and use your mind wisely. You're the type of person, and what makes other people attractive to you is they know that you're intelligent, right? That, you know, but it's how you use that intelligence that determines kind of like how people value you. So, for example, you could have someone who has kind of a destructive thought pattern or a destructive impulse or kind of a behavior that's kind of getting them down. If you think of Exorcist and how exorcists exorcise demons, and if you think of the Devil card in tarot and how it represents addictions or destructive things or things that you're obsessed with or things that you're tied to that you're trying to break free from, we see here that freeing these people, you use your mind to help free these people, right? And use your mind wisely just means that you're using your mind to free them of these negative things. In a way, you're a healer, but it's quite different than the typical healer, you know, who uses maybe like energy or kind of like other methods to heal people. You specifically use logic to heal people. And you use that logic in a way that kind of gets them out of this destructive energy and into a more healthy mindset, a more healthy way of being, right? So you're that kind of body-mind person, is the best way to put it. You know, you kind of use your mind to get involved with other people's health and get them out of that kind of dark place that they're in. This could also represent you using your mind to pull people out of like dark things that they're thinking about. Not just like with health things, like destructive things, like maybe like drinking too much or, you know, or like, you know, any kind of bad habit that's on the physical plane, but also in the mental plane too. You kind of know how to use your mind to get inside of other people's heads and kind of like destroy their demons, basically. You know, you're wielding this sword, you know, this sword of, I guess, light is the best way to put it. I mean, I'm looking at this pig's like backside as these like, looks like angel wings, right? Like he has 2 sets of angel wings on either side of his back, you know? So I'm definitely seeing that like you're kind of seen as kind of like this savior for people. with your intellect and your mind. Also, another reason why people find you attractive is that you're very slow moving. You definitely take your time. You're not a very fast-paced person. So people find you very calming. They find your energy very relaxing. You know, a lot of people who find this world too fast-paced to deal with, they find a lot of comfort in you because you're the type of person that slows down and gets on other people's wavelengths. So anyone who's struggling, anyone who's hurting, you definitely find that ability to slow down and get on their wavelength, especially before this exorcist card and kind of like banishing their demons with your sword of truth. I'm going to call it the sword of truth. The sword of light and truth. You kind of slow down and get involved with them on like a real level. You know, you kind of bond with them before you kind of like jump into their life and start helping them. So people like that slow and steady approach. This is definitely a pile where it's going to be people who are closer to you that find you attractive and not just like random strangers. You might find that like random strangers kind of pass you by or don't really notice you too much. And especially what we have here with treasure your loved ones. It is important to love others deeply. Treasure your loved ones just makes me think that like a lot of this pile is basically with the quartz crystal is going to be based on like loved ones or close ones. You know, this kind of slow energy and getting in touch with people slowly takes a lot of time. And that's really where your attractiveness shows through, is in this kind of like, let me make sure the camera's still on. Your attractiveness shows through in this kind of bonding agent with people. You know, you slow down, you get on their level, you know, you discuss things with them logically, and slowly but surely, you kind of banish the darkness from within them. You're honestly a blessing to have. You're the type of person that's like I would say a true healer, but specifically you use your mind to heal and your logic to heal, which is very interesting. And what I'm seeing here is that these people become close friends in your life. This is kind of how you provide that closeness and intimacy with people. And what I see here with treasure your loved ones, is important to love others deeply, is that these same people in strange ways that are like even hard to fathom, I think they help you in return. You know, not only do they find you attractive, right? But they help, how do I put this? They help you in small little ways to create intimacy with you. So this is kind of the pile where the people that find you attractive are the people who are going to stick in your life. We had another pile in here that's a person who's has a harder time connecting with people and a harder time kind of creating intimacy in their life. But not you. You're the type of person where that intimacy is very like real and bonding. Yeah, and it's really a great thing. You know, what you do for people and the people in your life, the close ones and the people you cherish, you know, it's kind of like that, you know, that kind of like that question that people ask. Like, do you have a whole bunch of acquaintances as friends, or do you have kind of like a close-knit small group of friends? And you're the type of person that has a close, small-knit group of friends. Definitely. So if you don't have that, you may have picked the wrong pile because this person is definitely more of like an intimate, connected type of person, you know, very logical and rational, but very focused on a small group of people and helping them heal their traumas and difficulties. So yeah, that was if you picked the clear quartz. If you like that reading, you can like or comment below. If you really like the reading, you can subscribe to my channel. I post pick a cards like this pretty frequently. With that said, that was the last reading for today for this pick a card. Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, I was saying goodbye, so I will just say goodbye to you guys, and I will see you in the next pick a card. Bye.